It's quite an update, and we've got a big game today. So let's get into it. So first off, if you're enjoying this, a like really does help, a comment does help. If you're waiting for Paradiso videos, they are returning. I've heard that the president of Paradiso, El Presidente, has been issuing some interesting decrees about access to FM23 on the islands. So we'll see, but we will have Paradiso videos soon. But in the meantime, let's have a look and see how Basel Black Stars have been getting on. In the league, pretty good, yeah. A little bit worried when we last spoke. Form at the start of the season was a little bit dodgy, but even with heavy rotations, we've still managed to come away good. Recently beat St. Gallen, beat Basel, obviously local rivals. And I don't know if you can see in some of these games, heavily rotated teams. If we look at the St. Gallen game, Hoffering, Pepperoni, Jan Valencia, Remey. Remey did get game time, but Castillo, Mario, it's a very different team sheet. Jasmine, Music, Jakub, Matiaja. It is a backup team, and the backup team is strong enough to compete domestically. If you're wondering who Jan Valencia is, he's the player that we loaned to Argyle. I don't understand how he ended up back in the team, but we've had some injuries recently, so it has actually been quite helpful. If we just have a look at the league, I'll show you what that looks like. As a result, fortunately, Frank is not cutting off the league table because there's only 10 teams in it. Comfortably top, very much clear, so we can continue to use that second string team behind us. The teams behind us quite competitive, as in previous years. Sion doing all right, St. Gallen doing all right. Basel struggling with their new manager, Vaduz having a difficult time as well. I don't know how Vaduz are doing internationally. Should we? Internationally, European-wise, let's have a check. The Vaduz have qualified from their Euro Cup 2 group, so that's quite exciting. Well, you know, we'll do the other teams in Europe while we're here. Looks like Young Boys have failed to qualify, which is pretty disappointing, to be honest. I expected better. What about the Euro Cup? Sion are a whisper away from qualifying. Still games to go by the looks of it. I don't know what their schedule is. Have they got to play? Who have they got to play left in this? Dynamo Kiev. So let's be real about that. It might, oh dear, it might be the end of the road for Sion. But 5 points in a difficult group's not bad. What about our other Swiss teams? St. Gallen. So St. Gallen have aced their group. They've won that group with Feyenoord and Bruges, which is actually really significant because, as we know, we're trying to chase down Netherlands and Belgium for coefficient. So actually them winning that group with Feyenoord and Bruges in is fantastic news for the coefficients. I think that was it. Yeah. We're not going to go to the Champions League quite yet. League updates. I don't really have many updates outside of that in terms of players. Cannellini has been developing a little bit better. He's now rated as a 1.5 star player. He's been performing really well, 8.01, which is also carried over to continental competitions on a 7.6 in Europe. So, how has Europe been going? Bearing in mind that we have a group with Milan, PSG, the former champions, and Valencia. Shall we have a look at this European form? Oh, I'm going to get the filter out. Is everybody ready? We're going to get rid of them all. And we're going to add in. Here it is, the Champions League. Oh, we beat Valencia 1-0 at home. It was difficult, but we did it. Paris Saint-Germain absolutely battered us 5-0 at the Parc des Princes. That's what it's called, isn't it? Yeah, the Parc des Princes. Oh, dear. We were bad, but they were just unstoppable. Reigning champions of Europe. Not a lot we could do against that team. We then went to Milan and won quite convincingly. Or sorry, they came here and won quite convincingly. Disappointment away from home against Milan. That was actually their first win in the group. And then PSG, you look at the player ratings, 7.1, 7.4. We're struggling in defence. We really are. Losing Beef Wellington, huge problem. Igor as well. We just don't have the centre-backs for this level. Even the centre-backs that we have, they don't have the same level of chemistry. They're either really young, or those players that we've brought in on loan or late in the window we can't register domestically, so they don't have the chemistry. We should have got a draw out that game. A loss was quite unfair. And that leads us moving into Valencia with a lot to play for. Let me show you the group. We are currently in a Europa League spot, but everything is up in the air. If Valencia beat us today, we'll be completely out of Europe, which, needless to say, would be a catastrophe for the save. It might not even continue, to be honest. We will obviously continue if we get in the Europa League, but if we get knocked out completely, that might be the end of the Black Stars, or at least we might move more into just simulating things rather than playing. If we win against Valencia, we could go through. Milan versus PSG. Probably you would expect PSG to win that game. They've comfortably walked this group. Milan, as I said, have only just started winning their most recent game. So if we look, Milan beat Valencia 3-2 quite narrowly, and then they beat us. But otherwise, they've drew with PSG. They lost to us. They lost to PSG. So Milan are not amazing. Whether they're now finding their form and they're going to pick up points, I don't know. But basically, a draw might see us through automatically and will see us to the Europa League. A loss would see us completely out of Europe, and a win would probably see us into the next phase of the Champions League. If we look at rules, results between teams is the first thing that sorts it. So that would explain why we're behind Milan. So I don't think we're going to be able to do better than that. We beat them 3-1. They beat us, unfortunately. Oh, they beat us 2-0. We beat them 3-1. So it must be goal difference then that's sorting it. So there is a scenario, and it doesn't. There might be a scenario where Milan go out. I don't know how that would happen. Something to do with goal difference. Let's not worry about it too much. But basically, yeah, this game against Valencia is everything. And this is the team we'll be offering out for that game. Collard at left back, Castillo at right back. Hoffering is injured. Melhorn is suspended. Yaguez is suspended. Now, something that is important to note about these Champions League games is we had a full-strength team for the first game that we won 1-0. We got battered by PSG. We had a full-strength team then. Had a full-strength team against Milan. For the second Milan game and the second PSG game, both Vlad and Lopez were out. And again, like centre-back, central midfield is an area that we're a little bit weak on. That was somewhere I was trying to sign players in the summer to strengthen after losing Rad. We've got players that can come in. Iglesias has been all right, very hot and cold. This 6.8 is kind of deceptive. If we look at the form, it's been 6.6, 6.5, 6.4, 7, 7.9, like 8.5, 6.3. The definition of inconsistent, you just don't know which Iglesias is going to turn up on which day. So he's not really stepped up to challenge Haddadi for that space. Haddadi himself is quite inconsistent, particularly in Europe, so that's been a real problem. One of the reasons why we brought in Jean Valencia, but again, very young, quite inconsistent. Pepperoni has been going hot and cold. I think these young players, they just do that. It takes them a while to find their consistency, but that doesn't help. And of course, in the biggest of games, Cannelloni doesn't like big matches, has a competitive streak. It's not impossible that we could be seeing some red cards in this game or some bad performances. Zabiela has been kind of like the diamond in the rough, I suppose. We brought him in a couple of seasons ago as a sort of backup centre-back, hoping that he'd develop. He hasn't really developed and his potential has dropped off, but we've been playing him in there as a Carrilero. He's actually been performing better than Dennis Pedrenis, who we've sent out on loan. He's actually gone on loan to Basel just now. I don't think he's played a game for them yet. But yeah, he had that good time. He had a good time with us with those 6 appearances in the first season. We sent him out on loan to Vaduz. He got 34 appearances, was bringing back 7s. Made 9 appearances for us, and again, averaging a 7. So Zabiela, actually pretty good. And if you look at the attributes, very, very physical, very big. And just having that in midfield, I think is offering us something a little bit different. Not registered in the Champions League, unfortunately, which does leave me with a difficult decision. Be nice to be able to have Hoffering as an option in case Canelo doesn't turn up, but Hoffering is injured. Not many players we can actually bring in. In fact, I'm not seeing anybody on the bench, which kind of speaks to the thinness of the squad. Tony Vanish. I think Jasmine Music's going to have to be the best option. A 17-year-old, doing pretty well for 17. But now we just cross everything. We go into the game. We pray. All right, here we go. I don't know what team talk it should be. Show everyone that the praise is justified. We've got Cannelloni motivated by that, so that's got to be a good thing. You're much better form than Valencia. You have to be wary of complacency. We have to be positive. Scoring first matters. Fajal Lopez is back. Valencia were pot 4. They're a pot 4 team. In theory, they are the easiest team in the group. They're not in good form. But they are Valencia. They're still a big team, right? Like, this is not your whipping boys. This is not your Bate or your... I mean, even clubs like Bruges, we would be more confident of beating, I think, than Valencia this far in. So we'll see. We are in the orange away kit, sponsored by Co-op, I believe, and it's a very popular Swiss supermarket chain based in Basel. They are in the black and white, which is slightly confusing, but not stripes, and they are having the first chance, and it is a good chance. Let's just put it on progressive highlights. We've got to do a little bit better than this. Cannelloni comes back to pick one up. The good news is PSG have scored against Milan, so as it stands, we will go through the group in second, which is what we want for money and coefficient. So I don't think we can afford to play for a draw under any circumstances. I mean, the worst possible thing would be we concede in the last minute of the game to be knocked out of Europe completely. So we are going to be cautious with that. Castillo, not achieving it. Castillo is a good signing, the type of signing that we are beginning to make, finding these more older players, that Swiss players that maybe gone to play in the mid-tables of Germany or France, maybe even England, bringing them back for that homegrown quota. He's 27, fantastic squad player. He's really helping us with the registration, and unlike players like Rene, he was happy to come to us, happy to come back to Switzerland. He's not itching to prove himself in another league. He's just happy to be here as a squad player. I don't know if they're playing a particularly high line, but they seem to be doing a lot of stuff in our final third here, so we do need to watch that. It's a corner to Valencia, and Manzilla holds it. We need a good game from him today. But equally, it's a little alarming that we are relying on him to have good games quite a lot at the moment. Just going to check the tactical instructions. This should be a game that we are able to take control of. I'm going to do distributor centre-backs for now. The tempo is only on standard, which I think we will leave for now. We need to try and get possession, try to get hold of this game, because right now we don't look great, and we know that in FM22, maybe in Football Manager in general, and in real life, the away game is the tougher of the sides. I think we're going to stay on positive, but if we can just try and get hold of this game. Oh, that is a disaster in so many ways. I think we still go out if we lose, no matter what happens with Milan and PSG, but we have just conceded the first goal in this game, and it was a missed header from our right back Castillo, not our first choice right back, and showing there. We'll make that change. I think that will drop us into bottom of this particular group, going out with a whimper potentially, and can't really afford the reputation drop either that would happen if we were out of Europe completely. Only just managed to get ourselves into that top 20 reputation in the world. Sorry, well, in Europe, and we almost can't capitalise on it. Is that going to be a red card? No, it isn't. yeah, if we drop off our reputation now, just over having a difficult summer, if we hadn't have lost Rad and Beef Wellington, I do think we'd be breezing this group. Um, but I really do worry what happens if we get knocked out. And as you can see, we are bottom of the league table at the moment and going out of Europe completely. Just a very unlucky draw. We couldn't have hoped for a worse. We couldn't have hoped, but hope is not quite the right word. I don't think we could have got a worse group. Like, I mean, if we look through here, I would have taken being in the group with Salzburg and Genk. That would have been absolutely no bother at all. You know, there are groups with scary teams in, but you know, you look at this, Genk and Salzburg. You know, I guess we probably would have replaced Salzburg. I would have had no issues with that. I mean, Liverpool, Barcelona, Dortmund would have been difficult, but we would have presumably been in that Dortmund slot, I think. So again, you would expect us to finish third in that group. Benfica and Partizan, we could have definitely dealt with that. That wouldn't have been a challenge. So it's unfortunate. I can make excuses because I guess if we want to get far in the Champions League, we need to be picking up points against these teams. But still, it feels very unfair. Pot 3 still. I'm going to keep moaning about it, but I just don't understand why we're in pot 3 when we keep winning the Swiss League and getting to the latter stages, and teams like Bruges, who are not doing anything in Europe, just get pot 1 by virtue of winning the Lowlands leagues. It just doesn't make sense to me. Potato with the corner. Cannelloni not turning up as you might expect, that big game issue being there. We'll drop an encouragement. Again, they're trying to get that ball in over the back. That is offside on that occasion. The centre-backs are just not good, to be honest. It's such a weakness. Max Control was signed as a cover option, and he's become our starting left-sided centre-back. Morales was a last-minute loan option. He's fine, but he's not getting game times in the league, so he has no kind of... He's match fit in the sense of being physically match fit from playing the under-18s games, but he's not sharp. He doesn't know where the players around him are. He's not that used to playing with this team. It is causing us bother. Ramey, though, oof, a reminder that everything could flip with an equaliser. A draw here takes us from bottom to second, I believe. So all is not lost. I don't have the chat to help. Where are you? If we were streaming this, we'd have help. The PSG go 2-0 up. Oh, the cruelty of it. The cruelty of it. Cannelloni. At least Milan aren't winning. At least there is that hope there. Haddadi tries to find Cannelloni, but that pass, it's not right. And we saw this in the games we've lost in this European group. Haddadi hasn't turned up. Cannelloni's been a little dodgy on the occasion. Peter Collar hasn't turned up. The centre-backs haven't turned up. The consistent problems in these teams, you know, the left-back, no matter what we do, just isn't good. And I was hopeful that Peter Collar was going to be good this year. He started off really brightly, but again, that consistency problems at left-back. Obviously, Cannelloni complete world beater, ratings of 8.1 or whatever it was, but just not turning up in the big games. Ramey, what are you doing? What was that? Ah, no! How? I mean, I'm glad it's the end of the FM22 cycle because I've seen this a number of times now. What is he doing? Cannelloni should have put that in the back of the... Like, what? He just taking it round... he had an open goal. Potato with the corner. We have tried to set the corners up well. We might need to focus on that. If we'd have got a point against PSG, as I said, we really deserved it. We would have been in a much stronger position. Now Valencia trying to get a second before half-time. That would be pretty catastrophic. And it looks like they're going to do it. Ooh. Manzilla saves us, not for the first time this season. We go into half time just really bad, to be honest. And I am going to challenge a number of these players to say, you know, it's not been good enough. Get it together. Like, it's unfortunate, but like, I look at the bench, and this is again part of the problem. What do you do with this bench? Do you take Haddadi off, put Potato up there, and bring in Blondie? That's kind of the only thing I could see. I'm not going to Enrique Iglesias. I don't think he loves big matches, so I don't think it's likely he would turn up to this one. I think this is going to be one where he's just not going to turn up. We've got Lamprey for Collard, but you know, Lamprey, is he really the option? You know, 6.7 against PSG. I don't know how much time he's had in Europe at Valencia. Didn't really do anything. So limited, thinner than I think we've been in a long time. Something that I didn't show you, and in fact, it's practically half time. I am going to show you this. Something else that's happened, and I think this is possibly as a result of the reputation, is if we go to transfer history and then we go to staff, you can see that we've had. Just let's get rid of Frank Ham for a second. Man City. This is half the staff that Man City tried to poach from us. They just came in for our whole analyst department. They came for all our scouts. They came for all of our coaches. We've lost another scout to Arsenal there. They just came in and took all of our backroom staff as well. So we've replaced them, and you know, mostly like for like, but we've been gutted, and getting the players in to replace them, getting in the scouts to replace those scouts that have gone. We've kind of been forced into a transitional period when we really don't want one. Because we can take a transitional year, but we need a transitional year when we're in Europe, and as I've said a number of times now, that's not likely to happen. If we lose this game, it's just over. Daddy, Cannelloni, Lopez. We don't have Mancini or players like that we trust in these big games to bring on. You know, I don't really want to bring on Pepperoni, because to be honest, I just don't see I'm going to get anything out of him. Debbie, Harry, I mean, we could just swap Haddadi and Potato around initially to see if that swap does anything. Haddadi's a little bit worse at some of those defensive duties, but he is quite good going forward, maybe trying to push Potato behind the forward line to provide a little bit more, you know, probably more important than that attacking midfielder's having a good game than the central midfielder, arguably. But look what we're seeing here, 6.5s all across the board, and now McCullen is bringing it forward. Arthur Cabral, Mushtah, whiskers away from disaster. Collar, Ramey, Collar, Max Control, Vlad, Haddadi, Potato. It's just dispossessed, and now it's another chance for Valencia. And if you were Valencia, you'd be feeling very comfortable. You're at home, 1-0 up. You've got to feel that second goal is coming soon. On the other hand, even though we rested most of the team, we're looking tired. We're looking just, yeah, not good. But Ramey now. Straight the keeper. Straight the keeper. He's no Frank Rodrigo. He might be. We probably will sell him for about 5 times the price that we got for Frank Rodrigo, but he's not as good. Vlad, Lopez, Ramey. Chance number 3 of the game that Ramey has completely bottled. Now they got a free shot, and Manzilla again saves our bacon. We will do a little bit of man marking there. Is it coming? Is that goal coming? I don't know. Soler. Oof, good interception there. Castillo, no matter what his performance, is still going to be shouldering some of that blame for the goal that really was not very good. And look how much possession they've got in the box here. Oof. We have to make changes. There's a third of the match left to go. I'm gonna Bring Blondie on for the daddy. I honestly don't know what the change to make. I mean, I could get Mario on for Morales, but then he's 6'5". That corner threat, I don't know. Against PSG, we ended up with 3 up top, but Hovering is injured, so we can't really do that. We were playing, I think we took the attacking midfielder off and we played 3 up top. Debbie Harry, though, Potato. Ooh, dispossessed in the box. Not going to be a penalty. Assistant manager is reckoning that we should make a change at centre back. I'm suggesting otherwise. For some reason, the shout didn't go down well. I don't know why. Anxious. We're getting anxious now. 30 minutes to go. I think if we do get knocked out of Europe, we are going to get lots of players asking to move on. Cannelloni, please. Yes! Come on! Right back in it. Right back in it. Debbie Harry, to be fair to him, I said I didn't want to bring Blondie on, and I did, and he's going to be credited with the assist. Cannelloni, under pressure, did actually manage to deliver there. We will make the tactical change. All of a sudden, those ratings flying through the roof, but the score is still only 1-1. We now move into second. I've never been in a scenario in the Champions League where a draw and a draw and a loss are so radically different. You know, a draw, we're second; a loss, we're out. I mean, it's night and day, isn't it? We're obviously quite vulnerable, having scored now, to immediately conceding. I feel like we can't go defensive. I'm tempted to make a more of a defensive change, but I think we have to keep applying the pressure. I don't think we have the quality, particularly in defence, to contain Valencia. I think our best bet is probably to continue to cause them problems. Push their nerves, because, you know, they're in the same situation, right? Like, they win, they go through to the next stage of the Champions League, I think. They draw, they go out completely. So they also are 1 goal away from a completely different outcome. The Europa League doesn't factor into either of us today. It is Champions League or broke for both teams. And isn't that a scary thought? Hugo. Valencia are batting it around quite comfortably. Confidently. I think Peter Collar is probably the player that I am going to bring off. I think that yellow card is a concern, as well as the 6.4. I'm hoping that Castillo can just... We can rest him for a fortnight, for a month, for 2 months after this if we need to. So we just run him into the ground. Oh, Manzilla makes the save. Okay, Potato's also looking quite tired. I'm going to drop an encourage. I just want to alleviate the nerves. We've got just over 10 minutes left of regular time to play. I can't take it. I can't take it. Lopez is offside. Okay, 9 minutes of regular time to go. Mendes, Carlos, blocked. Who was that? Max Control blocked it. It goes out for a corner. Ramey is apparently exhausted. He's not having a good game. Part of me does think, do you bring on Pepperoni? Go on, get it across. Oh, he's going. He's got options. Debbie Harry. Ramey. Can he find anyone? No? Lamprey? Debbie Harry? Oh, back heel to Vlad. Back to Debbie Harry. What is this? This is crazy, this chance. Oh, we messed it up. Oh, and that is a long highlight, and our fullback was really far forward. Max Control's been pulled out of position. Castillo comes back and covers. Santiago Ramey is doing things, but those things are not producing end product. Milan are trying to come back into that game. I don't know what happens if they draw. If they draw against PSG, is that Europa League for us? Or are we also out? I don't know. Potato, max control, this has got to be offside. So the big question now is, what change do you make? I feel like I'm going to make the change at right back. That feels to me like the change to make. Okay, 5 minutes of regular time left. Hugo. Mendes. Barb is another player not registered domestically. Should be fit. Should be feisty. Do you go defensive? Do you waste time? Every time I've wasted time in the Champions League, we've conceded a goal. So part of me thinks I'm not prepared to do that. I'm going to stick to what is arguably working. If you're Valencia, you must be frustrated. You must think, well, we're on top here. We're getting the better chances, but we're not scoring. But equally, we have had some good chances. It could go any way. Carlos! Is the assistant doing anything there? I think that's it. There's no offside there. We're on shorter passing. I'm not quite sure why we keep trying to go long to Potato. It was onside. And that puts us bottom of the group. And probably out of the Champions League. We'll go attacking. We just... Does goal difference against Milan factor into this? Our head-to-head record should be this equal. We've both beaten each other by 2 points. Does that count for nothing? Potato with the free kick. The equal... 4 minutes to score an equaliser. Remey. A minute. Ten seconds. And that's it. We are, from what I can tell, out of Europe. I mean, I need to dissect it. Yeah, bottom of the group by 1 goal difference to that 83rd minute goal. But I mean, if we'd have been on equal goal difference, it presumably would have gone on goals scored. I think we would have needed PSG to beat Milan 6-2 or 5-1. This that didn't happen. If we look at the other groups, is there any redemption here? Ajax made it through. That's a bit of a problem. We have to hope Porto don't make it through. Football is not fair, and I think in particular, I think in particular this has been the case. It's not going to show us the match stats, is it? We look back at the schedule. I mean, an 88th minute winner, 21 shots for us, 6 on target. The XG was very similar. Slightly more possession. I mean, you could argue they edged it. I don't think they edged it that much. I mean, you go back to the PSG game, as I say. Two games. I mean, between those 2 games, we more than deserved a point. But the fact of the matter is, if you win 2 Champions League two games in your group, it's going to be difficult to get out of that group. And 6 goals for, 12 against. It's not good. If you want a scapegoat, I think Beef Wellington is the man. Because if he had left when we first accepted the bid, we would have had Morales registered domestically. Could have built up some chemistry with Max Control. We'd have had 30 million. I mean, if you look at the money we're sitting on, £13 million transfer budget, 84 million in the balance. I don't know what's next. Do we rush this season? January is just going to be another shit show. It's going to be another. All of the big clubs come in for the players. I don't know what we can do. This was supposed to be another season of building the coefficient. You know, the main reason we were doing another season was for that coefficient. It wasn't really for personal glory. We knew we weren't going to win the Champions League, but we were hoping that we could overtake the Eredivisie, maybe Belgium or Portugal. If we view coefficients now, at the moment we're doing where are we down here? 9th. At the moment we're doing slightly better than Holland, but we're way behind. We're actually behind. Where are we? So we're this is really hard to read. Austria are actually catching us. I guess we sim out the end of the season, but coefficients wise, it's now in the laps of the other teams. It's not really on us. I mean, I could add another manager. I could add myself. I could manage another team. I don't think that makes sense. Yeah. What happens? Let me know in the comments, because this might be how Black Stars ends. It ends in just failure, basically. Sometimes it doesn't go the way you want it to go. We would be on for our 6th league title, but we would be going out with a whimper. We peaked. We didn't even peak last year, did we? Our best year, if we look at Champions League history, competitions, we filter it for the Champions Cup. Fourth in our group. I mean, we finished 3rd. I mean, we've never finished 4th in the group before. Quarterfinals last year, semi-final, so it was 30. It was now 31-32 that we made the semis, and it's to look like a fluke. Well, that's it, really. Bye from me. Maybe there'll be an episode 3. I don't know. Bye from Frank. What do you want to see? Because it's a lot of hours of content to go another year. Maybe another year is redemption. Maybe it's just more heartache. I don't know. Thanks for watching.